In New York City, final preparations are underway for tomorrow's 88th Pulaski Parade. Representatives of Polish community organizations, schools, institutions, parishes, and everyone for whom Poland, their homeland, is one of the most important matters, will gather on the famous Fifth Avenue in New York. That is why TV Republica will be there, not only to report on the entire march for you, but also to take part in the great celebration of Polishness. This is probably the largest Polish community event in the world. Nowhere else do so many Poles gather at once to honor Kazimierz Pułaski. But above all, it is a great Polish-American celebration of freedom. Gazeta Polska clubs operating in the United States will also take part in the event. The Great White and Red Parade will pass through the streets of Manhattan. Every year, more and more people want to take part in the parade. This year, the organizers expect attendance to exceed 150,000 participants. This year's theme for the event is the 1000th anniversary of the founding of the Kingdom of Poland. Since 1937, the Pulaski Parade has been held on the first Sunday in October and is the second oldest national parade in the New York metropolitan area. The Pulaski Parade precedes the American holiday, General Pulaski Memorial Day, celebrated on the 11th of October. General Kazimierz Pułaski, commander of the Bar Confederation, is recognized in the United States as a hero of the War of Independence and the founder of the American Cavalry. The Pulaski Parade will be preceded by a solemn mass at 9 a.m. at St. Patrick's Cathedral. Afterwards, everyone will gather on 5th Avenue and 42nd Street. Tomorrow, Poles will demonstrate the strength of the Polish community living in the United States. The Pulaski Parade shows that we Poles are able to cherish our traditions, culture, and values regardless of where we live. Tomorrow, the heart of Manhattan will beat to a Polish rhythm. The parade starts at 12:30 p.m. local time, which is around 6:30 p.m. Polish time. We will be broadcasting it on TV Republica. Russian barbarism is intensifying. This time, Putin's criminals targeted the passengers of this train. Dozens were injured after Russian drones struck travelers in the town of Szostka in northeastern Ukraine. Last night alone, the Russians used over 100 drones and missiles to attack residents of many Ukrainian cities and towns. After the Russian drone attacks, the situation is very difficult, especially in the Chernihiv region. I thank all the services that are helping the victims. These crimes could not go unanswered. The Ukrainians are precisely and effectively destroying strategic enemy targets, most recently a refinery in the Leningrad region and one of Russia's missile ships. This would not have been possible without U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to share American intelligence with Ukraine.
Putin będzie miał duże problemy, a Trump...
Putin will have big problems, and Trump will not fail to take advantage of these circumstances to show the world and Russia who is the most important player here. What's more, Trump is even considering providing Kyiv with state-of-the-art Tomahawk missiles, which would significantly increase Ukraine's offensive capabilities and allow for attacks deep inside Russia. It could be that they could be transferred from some European resources, but this would not directly deplete the reserves held by the United States. The American leader tried to diplomatically persuade the Russian criminal to agree to a ceasefire. But when these efforts failed, President Trump toughened his rhetoric and spoke to Putin in the language of force. Only the Americans could do this, and they made the decision to provide Ukraine with both intelligence and weapons to use in attacks on the enemy. Now the pressure on the Kremlin has increased significantly. The American leader has restored hope for a successful repulsion of Russian attacks and the peace that is so eagerly awaited here.
Thinking that it's going to be under occupation, it truly terrifies me, because the losses in here, in the production facilities, in the nature that surrounds it.
On American support for Ukraine, the Kremlin is responding with further provocations, testing the vigilance of NATO allies, most recently the Czechs and Germans. Munich airport was temporarily closed overnight, and 17 flights were canceled after drones appeared in the vicinity. We first noticed the drones right next to the airport. Later, we also located them on the grounds belonging to Munich airport. The police responded immediately. An alarm was also raised at Prague airport when information about a possible attack using drones emerged. This is part of the hybrid war being waged by Putin's supporters, including against Poland. We haven't been this close to peace in the Middle East in a long time. The plan presented by the American president has at least partial support from both sides of the conflict, as well as from Arab countries.
This is a big day. We'll see how it all turns out. We have to get the final word down in concrete. Very importantly, I look forward to having the hostages come home to their parents and having some of the hostages, unfortunately, you know the condition they're in, come home likewise to their parents, because their parents wanted them just as much as though that young man or young woman were alive.
Even more surprising is the position of Hamas. Palestinian terrorists have agreed for the first time to release all Israeli hostages and have not unequivocally rejected the other points of the agreement, the most difficult of which may be that of complete disarmament. In order to achieve a ceasefire and complete withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, Hamas announces its agreement to release all occupation prisoners, both dead and alive, in accordance with the exchange formula referred to in President Trump's proposal, and provided that the preliminary conditions for the exchange operation are met. In Israel, too, Trump's plan is being welcomed with hope for peace and the release of Israeli hostages.
First and foremost, we have our undying gratitude for President Trump for putting forth this plan, for bringing all the Arab countries together to back it up and create this momentum, carrying with him our Prime Minister and offering Hamas a deal that they have to accept in order to save their own people, in order to come out of this catastrophe the best way possible.
Hamas does not agree to all of Trump's conditions, but it is clearly willing to discuss the American plan, which can also be considered a sensation. There is no doubt that for the Hamas terrorists ruling the Gaza Strip, this may be the last moment to withdraw. They are getting weaker, and the people of Gaza are getting more and more tired of their rule and the devastating conflict. We have wanted to hear about this proposal for a long time, and we agree to it. We want to end the war by any means possible because we are tired. We are tired in every sense of the word. The current, exceptionally bloody phase of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict began on October 7, 2023. Hamas militants entered Israel and brutally murdered 1,200 people, including small children.
And the hand was locked and someone kills them. Children in the same room, then someone come and kills them all. 15 girls and teenagers that put in the same room, 300 grenades, and it's over. This is a massacre. It's pogrom.
The Palestinians also kidnapped 250 other people, including children, women, and the elderly. About 50 are still being held today, after almost 2 years. The terrorist actions sparked euphoria among Palestinians in both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. In response, Israel launched operations in the Gaza Strip to free the hostages and eliminate Hamas at all costs.
Now is the time. I can't see any other reason not to do it right now. We've got to do it. You've got to do it right now. You've got to sign this agreement, and we've got to release all the hostages, and we have to finish this bloody war.
Israel has already implemented the first stage of the peace plan and has ceased firing on Gaza, where silence has prevailed today for the first time in a long time. This weekend, the Czechs are electing a new parliament. That's 2 p.m. sharp. Voting ended in the Czech Republic for the Chamber of Deputies, which will decide the composition of the future government. The favorite is the current opposition ANO movement of former Prime Minister Andrej Babiš. It was difficult because this time I voted for a completely different party, but I think I made the right decision. I hope that someone who cares about the Czech Republic, but also about our allies, will come to power. I hope that some parties with democratic views will be able to form an efficient government. Babiš, whose ANO party led with a double-digit lead in most polls, was prime minister from 2017 to 2021 and is an ally of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in the Patriots for Europe group in the European Parliament. Like Orban, Babiš is reluctant to provide aid to Ukraine. I would like to ask our voters not to feel that we have already won, that our victory is a foregone conclusion, because we can easily lose. That is why I ask them all to go to the polls and vote for us, because it is very important. The Czechs, like Poland, experienced a sharp rise in inflation after the global pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, and are slowly recovering from one of the largest declines in real income in Europe. Pensioners are in the worst situation. I'm a bit of a pessimist from the older generation, so I've been through a lot. I know a lot. I have my own experiences. I would say that I am tired of these politics. Many voters expressed concerns about a political shift towards the east. These are very important elections because there are many extremist parties that could come to power, which is quite dangerous. So it is very important that we vote because we belong to the West, and I don't want us to move towards the east. Mr. Fiala convinced me in the recent debates. Mr. Babiš seemed a bit tired to me. He wasn't as active and energetic in his opinions and persuasion. In recent months, several corruption scandals have damaged Prime Minister Petr Fiala's Spolu coalition and its liberal allies, who during the last term focused on gradually reducing the budget deficit. I expect that people will finally come to their senses and choose the lesser evil, because in my opinion, the path to the east is definitely not the right one, and we should instead start focusing more on the issues that are most important to us, such as freedom. It is rather unlikely that any party will win an outright majority. Polls indicate that the largest party will lead talks on forming a coalition or provide support for a minority cabinet. Forming a government will certainly be very difficult because the parties are divided after this campaign. They defined themselves in opposition to each other, and unfortunately, this applied to both the current ruling coalition and the opposition, so building bridges over these trenches will not be easy. Immediately after the polling stations closed, the counting of votes began. Sociologists warn that the initial data from unofficial results should be treated with caution. In the last election, the margin of victory was only 0.6%. 4 years ago, the ANO movement was also the favorite to win the vote, but ultimately lost to the center-right Spolu coalition, which formed the government.